Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. And today, this being Monday, I thought we would get back into St. Paul's letter to the Galatians because we only have 2 days left of it, today and tomorrow. We are in chapter 6 now, and St. Paul's been writing this community in Galatia. Obviously, has expressed some disappointment with the way they are living. They're fighting and struggling with how it is to live the faith, particularly in relationship to those who are telling them that they need to do things like circumcise Gentiles in order for them to be real Christians. And of course, Paul has been very vehement in speaking out against this because the circumcision is a sign of being under the law. And of course, what we have is a new freedom in Jesus Christ. We are free from that law. So it's important in the case of the new Christian for us not to be dependent on those old Jewish rituals. We have to understand them in order for us to understand the setup for how it is that Jesus Christ fulfills God's promise. But it is now, our salvation isn't by the works of the law, but it's by faith, right? It's our belief in Jesus Christ as Lord. It's a gift of grace. And so chapter 6, beginning at verse number 1, we hear this. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then he shall have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good. Let us do good unto all men, especially unto them that are of the household of faith. And so this is kind of Paul's last parting instructions. We've only got a couple verses left after that are assigned for tomorrow. But they're kind of Paul's basic, by the way, let me remind you, right? And what are the things he reminds you? Teach each other. If somebody's got a fault, gently correct them, right? And don't fall into their sin as well. Bear each other's burdens, right? In order to fulfill the law of Christ. Don't think too highly of yourself, right? That's humility rather than pride. Prove your own work and bear your own burdens, right? As you possibly can. Don't be deceived. God is not mocked, right? So in other words, if you are doing things in the flesh, again, he's talking about the circumcision party, or worse, to be worldly and to base everything on pleasing yourself and going after your own decisions and your own covetousness and your own urges, that's what you're sowing, that's what you're going to reap. And unfortunately, the end of that is destruction. Whereas if you are going after the work of the Spirit, going after things that are eternal, of course, then if you sow that way, what you will reap will be eternal. It'll be spiritual. So you want to concentrate on therefore. And then of course that wonderful thing we say this. It's one of the sentences that we do at the Holy Communion service during the offertory. And let us therefore opportunity. Let us do good unto all men, and especially unto them that are of the household of faith. And so that is important for us to remember, that we do love our neighbors as ourselves. And remember, when Jesus gives that teaching, somebody said, well, who's my neighbor, right? And of course, then you get the parable of the Good Samaritan, so the surprise is that the neighbor, the one who proves to be neighbor, is the one who's the outsider. But here, Paul's reminding us that we should do good to all men, right? We should certainly love our neighbors ourselves, even if they're not members of the body of Christ. But we should have a special effort to do good unto those who are of the household of faith. In other words, to work through the church and through the church organizations to support and encourage one another in the faith and how it is that we live this life in Jesus Christ. Well, today's Monday, and we got a busy week this week. We do have Holy Communion today and tomorrow at 12:15, as we always do on Monday and Tuesday. But Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, and Ash Wednesday is so important because it's the beginning of our Lenten season, and we will have a 12:15 communion service. We'll also have a 6 p.m. communion service, and you'll need to sign up for those on our Sign Up Genius. Again, we're limited to 10 people per service for the time being by the diocesan authorities. We will also have evening prayer at 5 o'clock, and we will have ashes distributed at evening prayer as well. Again, 10 people. So you can go to the parish website, stjohnsdetroit.org, and there's a clickable link for Ash Wednesday for the sign up for those 3 services. We've been getting about 80 to 90 people at our Sunday services, 9 or 10 people at a time. And so we've scheduled these 3 services. If they fill up right away, I promise you I will schedule a 4th and even a 5th if we need it for those who want to receive communion on Ash Wednesday to start Lent. I hope you have a fantastic Monday, and may God bless you.